Hello everyone, I'm Whitley Norton and today I'm going to be talking about my experience being removed from my biological home, foster home, and group homes. So, when I was taken away from my biological mom, it was very hard for me. I didn't understand what was going on, I was confused, I was sad and angry. I was confused because I didn't understand why I had to leave and why I couldn't stay with her. I was sad because leaving family is always hard. And I was angry because she didn't do anything to stop them from taking me. She sat there with no emotions. She didn't say I love you. She didn't give me a hug. Nothing when I left. They asked me to pack a bag and I packed it. And then they put me in a cop car and I was gone. She didn't cry. She had no emotions at all. Me, I was very emotional. I was crying and screaming. And I wanted to stay with my mom. When I was put into the group home, I was very scared. I didn't know any of the girls there. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know how long I'd be there. And I didn't know why I was there. Eventually I made friends with the girls there and they became like my family. I had built what I call a family with the girls and the staff there because I felt safe, I felt wanted, I felt like this was my new home. So then when my DCF worker or DHS worker started talking about foster care, I didn't quite understand what that was. She told me it was these people who opened up their home to kids who needed a home because group homes are only temporary, they're not forever. So shortly after being in the group home, I want to say 6 months, they found me a foster home in my hometown of Muscatine and they put me in it. I was very scared and hurt and confused all over again. It was like they tore the Band-Aid off a wound that was still healing. I was sad to leave all my friends, but I was happy to finally find a home. I was angry because at first I didn't want to go. I was happy to do visits with them, but I wanted to stay where I had made friends and family. So it was very hard for me. It was very emotional for me. I even tried to sabotage going to the group home by hurting myself because to be able to go to a group home, you have to be at least 3 weeks with no self-harm to be able to leave the group home to go to a foster home. And I wasn't that much of a self-harmer then. I did a few things, but not much. So I self-harmed to sabotage myself from being able to go. But my DHS worker at the time was like, no, you're still going. So I was placed in the foster home and eventually I got used to being there. I started calling them mom and dad and it was a nice home for me. I was able to go back to my school that I had already attended and I was able to reconnect with all my friends and it was really nice. After being there for 3 years, something happened and I was removed again. It was very hard for me being removed because I loved them. They were my mom and dad, and my sisters, I loved them. So it was very hard leaving everyone, being put into a new place. I was placed with my biological sister, which things didn't work out. So I was put into another group home, which was very scary for me. My immediate thoughts about being removed from anywhere was what's going to happen to me, where am I going to go, how am I going to be able to stay in contact with the people that I've lost that I love, and will I be able to see them, will I be able to talk to them? It was so scary not knowing everything. And as a child, children don't know everything, so I would always try to figure out what was going on, where I was going, and I would always try to stop it. I ran away many times out of fear, out of anger, and a lot of times just because I didn't know what was going to happen. I was placed into many hospitals for mental health issues, and hospitals were never scary for me. I was normally only there for a few days. The hospitals were like my break from reality. Every time I went to a hospital, I felt peace. I felt calm. I knew I was only going to be there for a couple of days, but leaving the hospitals was scary for me because I didn't know if things were just going to go back to the same with my depression and anxiety. I didn't know if where I'd be placed sometimes when I left the hospitals. And I didn't know if I would have my support system I had before I went into the hospitals. So that was a little scary for me. And then when I was 17, they gave me the option. Well, it wasn't even an option. They told me I was going to be put in juvie until I turned 18 because no foster home could take me and no group home could take me because I kept running away. And I had behavior issues with like self-harm and stuff. So they said the only place that could contain me was a juvenile detention center. For me, that was scary. I didn't want to go to juvie, and I didn't really have behaviors that warranted being placed in juvie. So when I found out Emily and Chris were going to do foster care for me, I had a bunch of emotions. I was excited and also scared. I was scared because I was leaving my home where all my friends and family were to move 21 hours away to Florida where I knew only Emily and Chris. I was scared because not everything has worked out in my life. Every home that I was at always ended in a disaster. I was afraid that something would happen, I would mess it up, and they wouldn't want me anymore. And I was very excited because I've known Emily since I was 8 years old. She was the one person who stuck by my side my whole life and fought for me. So I was very excited to be placed with her. So when I was 17, they did the process to get me down here, and I started school down here, and that was very exciting. Not many kids who are teenagers in the foster care system find a home. I'm not sure why that is. Maybe it's because parents don't want to take the responsibility of an older child, or they're afraid to. But one thing I can say is put yourself out there. Don't be afraid. Taking that chance on the older child is definitely something that I feel is important as foster parents. If Emily and Chris never would have taken the chance for me, who knows where I'd be. I would be probably in jail or dead, because without having the support and love from a parent, I would be lost, definitely, without them. One thing that I want to say is I know teenagers can be scary and they can be difficult at times. I was very difficult at times for Emily and Chris, and for anyone who was raising me when I was a teenager. So I understand the risks it is, but it's a great risk to take for the kids. The kids who are teenagers need the love and support and care that any little kids need. We might not need coddled and snuggled and bedtime stories like they do, but we still need the love and support and the time and effort that they do. And that, to me, is very important about getting the message out about older kids in foster care. Tune in for the next video. Not sure what the topic will be about, but I'm sure it'll be great.